us. So we will know from him about India's relationship with Cuba. Hello sir, welcome to India.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm already here 2.5 years. I'm very happy to be in this wonderful country. I'm also very, very happy that I can represent my country here in India.
Sir, there has been decline in the trade relationship between India and Cuba over the period of time. So what do you think? How can we improve it?
That's right. I think that our political dialogue and our political relation is not at the level at the the economic relation is not at the level of our political dialogue, and we think we have to look a way to increase this relation. Our exchange in trade is very, very low. I will say we are one of the country in Latin America that have the most lowest level in our trade. We have to find a way, and one of the things that we need to find is a way is, for example, how we can have financial facilities, because as I said before, we are a poor country. We are a country that is submitted to a blockade, a very, very strong blockade, a blockade where every year we lose more than $2 billion every year. Imagine a little country. So we have to look for a financial way to increase this trade. And I think that here I have found willingness for that. So I hope that in the future our relation in that sense can develop. We also are increasing the cooperation in new fields. We are increasing our cooperation in the renewable energy. That means wind farms, bioelectric, and so on. And that is also new. We are trying to increase our exchange in the biotech and in the pharma industry, where we have also possibility to export to India, but also to import from India. And we hope that in the future we could increase, or we could count onto the new form of our economic relation, tourism.
How do you look India's relationship with Cuba after the new president?
Well, the president is only a week.
Yeah, exactly.
So I see that we will maintain the good, friendly relation with the government of India, with the state representative of India, and Cuba will be always a good friend of India.
So you talked about the high participation of women in the Cuba's parliament. So is there any reservation for the women in Cuba's parliament?
Well, the Cuban parliament has 53.4% of the members of parliament are women. That means the women in Cuba, they have a very, very important role in all, in the economy, in the science. For example, in science, more than 80% of the scientists in Cuba, the teacher and the professional are women, are female. So imagine how is the perspective for the woman. I think that we men in the future will have to fight for our right.
Could you tell us how you achieved this goal, how you contributed this much for the women in your country?
I think that was since the beginning of the revolution, Fidel Castro self. He was worried to give the importance that the woman should play in the society. because in a poor country like ours in the 50s, the women were more reserved for housework or for domestic work, and they could not be professional. And the main thing that the Cuban Revolution did at the beginning was give possibility to female as male, the same possibility to study, to be professional. And during all this time, I think this policy has a good effect. And that is the main thing. The government is introducing, is promoting the participation of the women in all fields. That is the reason.
Okay, so how can India implement this? Because here in India, we don't see women at high level, at high power level. So can you suggest something?
Well, for me, it's very difficult as ambassador to make here any to answer that, because I don't want to say things that could be interpreted as
No, not exactly.
But I think that you have great possibility, because what I have seen here, I have met many women that are very high professional. Those that have the possibility to study and to have a profession, they became very, very smart. They are very, very smart, and they do their job very, very well. So I think that with the participation of the women, even more, that will help, of course, also that you can have a big representation of women as leader in different posts of the government and state. I think that is a matter that of policy, and I'm sure, because you had Indira Gandhi, who was a female, who was a very good prime minister, and you still today have many, many women that are members of parliament that are very good, very professional. So I think you are on the way. You are on the way. It takes time, but you are on the way.
How do you see India and China relation further?
Well, I hope the relation will be every day could be more that both countries can strengthen their relation. Because imagine India with 1.25 billion people, and India with 1.5 billion people is almost the half of the world. And you have many, many economic potential like it have China. You belong both to developing countries. So that will be wonderful, and I'm sure that India and China are very friends country. The people are very friends, and the authorities from India, they are working for that.
And where do you see Cuba and China in future?
Well, China.
Their relation.
Well, our relation with China are, I will say, exceptional. Very good relation. China is. There are many reasons. First, because both of us are socialist countries.
Yes.
Second, we have more than 70 years of bilateral relation. Third, we have strong ties at the economic and commercial fields, trade fields. And I will say that during all these 70 years of bilateral relations, we have support China in their willingness of being member of the United Nations at the beginning, in the 60s, and we had worked very, very tight together. China is a country that had also supported Cuba against the blockade policy of the United States. So our relation is good.
What do you have to say about Bollywood movies in Cuba?
We hope they come more. I will be very, very happy if Bollywood film could film there more movies. So we have to work. Perhaps the press can help us.
And Cuba is considered as the perfect destination for the Bollywood movies. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, we have very beauties. The countryside in Havana is very, very pretty, exotic, nature country. We have all over the island. We have beaches, sea, sun. The Cuban people is very, very happy. They love singing, they love dance, and they are also spontaneous friendly. So I think that Cuba is a very good place to film Bollywood movies, and I hope so that could be. Because if India film in Cuba, that will be also a good factor for the increasing of tourism between our two countries.
Donald Trump has banned the tourism 7% approx. So what do you have to say about that?
I didn't understand.
Donald Trump.
Oh.
Yeah, he has been he's lessening the tourism to Cuba. So what do you have to say about that?
No, Trump first the American, due to the blockade policy, they cannot travel to Cuba as tourists.
Yeah.
That is the Americans are the only ones all over the world that cannot visit Cuba as tourism. It's not permitted to, according to this blockade policy. Although Obama, he permitted 12 different categories for the citizens from North America to visit Cuba. And that had helped the increase of American visit to Cuba. Trump, I don't see no possibility. If he could stop the visit from the American to Cuba, he will do it, because he's not a friend of Cuba. He's not a friend of the development of our economy. What he only wants is to destroy the Cuban Revolution. That's what I can say about that.
Thank you, sir. It was nice talking to you.
I hope you understand.